All right, not surprised. I was more surprised definitely by Nick Boyd entering the transfer portal, but today was Magoon Gwath. You're probably watching this on Tuesday, so yesterday, but Monday night recording this, Magoon Gwath. He walked down that hallway from the coach's office, submitted paperwork to enter the transfer portal, which for college basketball officially opened this morning. You can maybe find Nick Boyd, but I thought Darnay Tripp put it well on Twitter. It's going to be hard to find another Magoon Gwath. 7-footers like that don't come around very often. And Magoon was developing before our very eyes. And yeah, how are you going to replace him? We'll see. But this is a financial decision, like I assume the Nick Boyd decision was. But yeah, Gwath expected to test NBA draft waters if he returns to college, as most expect. It almost certainly will not be at San Diego State. He joins point guard Nick Boyd, who made his announcement Friday. And then Brian Dutcher gave some quotes to Mark Ziegler in the UT, which is this screenshot on the screen here. So you can go check out Ziegler's article in the UT. Financially, it's hard for us to compete with some of these other schools for these upper level kids. We can compete in every other way. We can't compete financially with the money that's being offered for some of these players. It is what it is. It's a new world. There's too much money at stake. And then later in the article, he talked about not like having anything against these two guys, just grateful to have him in the program. Dutcher said, I like all the kids we have in our program. I like Nick. I like Magoon. I wish them all the best. There's no ill will. It's a new world, and financially, there's a lot of money out there. It's like a guy comes up in a corporation. You bring him in as an intern, he develops and turns into a really good employee, then he leaves for a better job for more money. How can you be mad at the guy? Yeah, you developed him, but he's good at what he does, and now he stepped out and decided he wants to do something financially. And yeah, especially when you look at Magoon Gwath's background. It's not like this guy was a son of an NBA superstar who, made millions of dollars already. Magoon Gwath's father is an Uber driver. Magoon Gwath's mother is a custodian in the Dallas area. Like, Goon is going to go get $1 million probably somewhere in NIL money. Why would he stay at San Diego State when he can go do that? Because who knows what his pro career is going to look like? He could have an injury and then something changes. His career changes. So when you're someone like him, while San Diego State, I'm sure, treated him great, made it to March Madness, but when teams, and I'm reading in this article, some programs are having a basketball budget of like $8 to $10 million right now in NIL. And San Diego State is north of $2 million for next season. The Mesa Foundation is what I'm talking about. San Diego State's basketball NIL collective has worked tirelessly to increase its NIL budget from $350,000 3 years ago to north of $2 million for 2025-2026, which is at or near the top of the Mountain West. And some basketball programs, Ziegler writes, are now said to be operating with total budgets internally from the athletic department and externally from between $8 million and $10 million. Just not a level playing, 3 times the that San Diego State has. Is San Diego State going to be a good team next year? Yeah, because they find a way. That's what's impressive about San Diego State. Guys that leave, well, San Diego State will find a way. I'm not saying they're going to find a 7-footer, but San Diego State, they're going to find a way to bring in some quality talent. And then they're going to keep developing the talent that they have. So no Jared Coleman-Jones, no Nick Boyd, no Magoon Gwath. Thankfully, they're getting Reese Waters back. And Miles Bird seems like he's coming back. There's still talent. But yeah, it's a big blow. But every year, the Aztecs find a way. Dutch is going to find guys that play defense, that want to win. They're there for the team, and they want to do something special for San Diego State. Now, maybe the guys that he brings in, will Like they're trying to be here for 1 year, play well, and then go get money like these other guys. But if that's what San Diego State has to be, then that's what they have to be, and just you 1 year this thing for some players, and it's just a 1 year deal, and you do the best that you can for that 1 year, and then you redo it the next year. You go scout, go get players for that 1 year. I'm not saying the entire roster is going to do that because it's the case. They have what Miles Heide coming back, Taj DeGorville probably I would think. Like I said, Miles Bird, Reese Waters. I think there was a pretty talented redshirt that I'm trying to look up right now, but I'm not seeing right now. Farrell Compton, is he going to be gone? I know Wayne McKinney's going to be gone. No, Farrell Compton, is he? Will San Diego State say, here, you're starting, and that keeps him? They still got BJ Davis. Yeah, so what I'm thinking of, they've got, for now, Thakbor Majak, by the way, he's a 7-footer. So they do have a 7-footer. He just wasn't playing this year. 7 feet tall, 208 pounds, from South Sudan, excuse me. So we'll see what minutes he gets if he's still at San Diego State. But they've got Heide. They've got Taj DeGorville, you would think. Miles Bird, Reese Waters. But they have DeMarshe Johnson still. BJ Davis, Farrell Compton. There's still some talent on this team. Now with these guys exiting, though, and entering the transfer portal, because if you're San Diego State, you can't be like, oh, they're coming back. No, they entered the transfer portal. They have their sights on something else. So you can't leave a spot open for them. You got to just move on. That's just what it is. So transfer portal's open. San Diego State's at work. I know they're already at work. So who are they going to bring in? They've got what? At least 4 open slots, I would say. Maybe more than that. So that's an opportunity to bring in some good talent. Is it going to be Division II guys that come up? Is it going to be smaller Division I guys? You know, Nick Boyd went from he came from FAU. Are they going to find some of those guys that, you know, they'll get paid more at San Diego State than what they were paid at their school? But I think if you're San Diego State, you had to expect Magoon Gwath to go. Nick Boyd, I think, was, surprising, but it is what it is. All we can do as San Diego State fans is money to this collective, if we can, and I've already done that. It would be nice if we were one of those big schools that had some like huge booster, like St. John's, for example. They had the body armor guy that essentially said like anything Rick Pitino needs, he has for, financially. And there's other programs in the country that have these big boosters that, yeah, they'll just toss around money because they have a ton of it. It would be nice if San Diego State had that, but I'm not saying there's not a lot of people being generous with their money, but it's clear that we're not on that level. So the Aztecs just have to do what's best. And, obviously the conversation can go to, well, how can San Diego State compete with this? And, the Cinderella stories just aren't going to be happening now in March Madness just because these guys don't stay for 3-4 years at these smaller schools. Same with the coaches. They get poached and money talks and they go somewhere else. And so you can have a McNeese State this year, but they didn't go far. Arkansas is what, a 10 seed, I think? They're not sure, Calipari is going to say he's an underdog because of the seed, but it's a Calipari team. Like, come on, right? So could this be a one-off where there's not, these a long Cinderella run? There's not FAU going all the way? And San Diego State, it's San Diego State, but still, going to the Final Four, I don't know how many people expected that in 2023. It's not that this season. but I don't expect it to be that very much, if at all, because these programs, these big money programs, when there isn't a line, there's no cap to it, they clearly have an advantage. And when you're in college, it's not like I'm trying to make the comparison with the Dodgers where there's no cap, they can spend as much as they want. And of course, they get a lot of good players, but there's still talented players around baseball that get millions of dollars and they go sign with other teams. In college, yeah, there's other, big programs with millions, but and I'm talking about millions and millions and millions more than the Aztecs. But with college, it's not like there's as much money even for like the very poor, as much, the poor MLB teams that still have millions of dollars. These smaller programs don't have that and you want to balance it out, right? But they don't have that as these other programs do. And college players, they don't all have the luxury of going to the NBA making millions, drafted, or maybe it's not best for their family situation to go play overseas to make money. So they have to stay and go get a job in the real world. And so while they're in college, this is their time to make the money. And so they're going to do it. I can't blame these athletes. When your dad is an Uber driver, you're going to go take millions of dollars from another school. You may want to stay at San Diego State. You may have enjoyed your time at San Diego State. But this is an opportunity to change you and your family's lives. How am I going to, be mad at Magoon Gwath for that? How am I going to be mad at Lamont Butler for? I mean, he stayed. He could have transferred after the Final Four. He stayed at San Diego State and then went to Kentucky. And it seems like he's doing well at Kentucky because Kentucky's, still alive with Mark Pope in his first year at Kentucky. But like, it's not like the Padres where the Padres may offer a guy millions of dollars and he goes somewhere else. Now, Profar, like, still, when it's that much of a difference, like, I'm not faulting Profar, but I'm just saying there is a difference here. San Diego State may be offering someone thousands. Another school's offering you $1 million. What are you going to do? So I'm not mad at Magoon. Nick Boyd, I assume it's financial, so I can't be, too pissed off at Nick Boyd. I'm disappointed. I was surprised by Nick Boyd, but Magoon, I could definitely see this coming. When he had his eyes set on professionally already, and there's other programs that see a 7-footer who's developing, why wouldn't you go give that guy a bag? You know? So as an Aztecs fan, it's frustrating because it's not a level field. With the Padres, you had Peter Seidler that could go spend that money, and he did, thankfully. With the Aztecs, it's a limited amount of money. We can all pitch in if we can, and that will up the amount of money. But is it going to still be the same amount as these other big programs? It's not. I don't want that to discourage you Aztecs fans from donating because it does help keep some players. Because it seems like the rest of the roster is going to stay, so that's good news. But it's just we're in a spot where it's not a level playing field, and there has to be some cap on this. If the NCAA cares about some of the other schools, like San Diego State, and not even just San Diego State, but some of the other smaller schools as well. Does the CBS, I mean, they love not having the Cinderella story because you have these big programs and fans, for the most part, you can get latched onto a Cinderella, but you want those big matchups. You want to see St. John's in Arkansas, like you saw this past weekend. You want to see Florida and Duke, or Duke and whoever. You want to see these big matchups. So I don't really know how how quick the NCAA is going to, try to make changes to this or try to cap something with the NIL. But yeah, you kind of just left. Is hopeless the right word? Hopeless with, okay, you develop a great player, you should be rewarded and be able to keep that player, but with what's in place now, that other player is going to go somewhere else because it's something that will change their lives. So I don't fault Magoon for it. The Aztecs will find a way to have a good program, have a good team, put a good team out there. But you obviously would like to have a talented Magoon Gwath still on this team. You'd like to still have Nick Boyd on this team. Would have loved to have Lamont Butler this year on this team still in this program. But that's just the way it is. So I think San Diego State's going to have to um, find a diamond in a rough somewhere. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to go. You know how Jane Ledee was at TCU. I think he was at Ohio State for a little, and then he goes to San Diego State. Playing time, more of an opportunity, and look what happened. So San Diego State's going to have to do one of those. It seems like maybe a couple, where they find someone that fits San Diego State and what they're about, and that player, you know, knows that he's going to get an opportunity. And San Diego State is a good basketball program with a high standard, and that player is willing to make that commitment and come over to San Diego State. So I'm interested. I'm definitely interested in seeing what this squad's going to look like this next year. But it's another, kick in the nuts. Seeing, like, I expected it. I was definitely more surprised with Boyd than Magoon. But yeah, just as an Aztecs fan, it's just frustrating because Dutch deserves to have Goon still. His coaching staff deserves to have someone like Nick Boyd still. Like, when you develop these players, you help these players get better. You recruit these players, and then you do the hard work, and then because something out of your control, you can't have them anymore because they're going to go get money that you don't have. It needs to be more of a level playing field. But maybe the NCAA won't care about that. The TV networks won't care about that because they want the big matchups. They want the big brands.